Good morning, everybody, and this is the S&P 500 day trade setups for today. Not that we've had much chance for day trading this week so far. There's a couple of things that are playing out right now. So let's just start with the weekly and just have a look here. So firstly, if you look at the weekly, look at all these tails here that are coming in pretty much, not exact, but it's off this previous weekly swing low. And that was a pin bar. You can see there's the pin bar we've got onto a bit of structure if you look to the left. So for me, this is telling us a story. There's two stories here. The first one is could be an attempted bullish setup happening, but it's very rare that it happens 3 times in a row like this. Just trying to see if there was something in the past. Let's see what I'm talking about. What we're looking for is a similar kind of setup with tails to the upside where we reversed. See, there's something there. You sort of think you're going to fall and carry it sideways for a couple more weeks. There's another one there, and then we sort of shoot up, come back, test, higher, low, and then we're on our way. So when you look at the weekly, that week there, which was 2 weeks ago, was pretty much the signal. Then we got a range bar. Now we're not getting above the range bar. We've sort of haven't closed above it, but we sort of tipped above it. So I wouldn't put that into my thought process at the moment. So this here is touch and go. I think that's the best way to explain it. So when you start drilling down the time frames we're looking for all intents purposes, we are sideways. And I'm going to put this bottom level in here. Well, actually, we can just do that because that's probably what it's going to be. That is our range. We've dipped above it, we've dipped below it. So a pretty similar kind of setup to being inside moving averages, above and below moving averages. That's kind of an indication that we are ranging. Now, this is a big range. And if you look at the oscillators on the 8 hour, they have started to ease off. But more importantly, they're starting to separate. So trend is down. We should be looking for moves to the downside. However, when I look at the oscillators as they are starting to separate like this, that is always an indication that we are going to separate something like this. And then you can see what happens when you separate like that. You tend to have a pretty strong move up. So that's the first scenario. The second scenario is there's a bit of a wedge forming here. So let me just get this so we can see. So here's the bottom part of the wedge, and here is the top part of the wedge, or should we rather just say channel. Look at the oscillators grouping to the downside. We still have a bullish crossover of moving averages, but they are flat. So that is another indication that we are ranging at the moment. So last bit of noisy information we need to just keep in the back of our heads, that is the 61.8 Fibonacci, which we have just tagged. So if I come down to the hour and we start watching what's going on here, oscillators group to the downside, bottom of the channel right now, 61.8 Fibonacci, and if I just put a level in here, see there's the previous swing low, so that is a level. And then let's just get the Fibonacci out. We know what's going on here. Okay, so there's our structure. So the last 3 days has been pretty much all over the place. We were above the moving averages yesterday, and then we sort of plummeted to the downside. Wasn't really a selling opportunity for me though. It definitely wasn't off a level. So what we're looking at the moment is what is going to happen here. Now we've got the FANG stocks coming out next week with earnings. So it starts on Tuesday, I think, with Google, and then Facebook the following day, and I think Amazon follows that. So next week is a pretty big week for earnings. And the tech stocks is pretty much getting hammered at the moment. So if they start to stabilize, who knows what's going to happen. But for me at the moment, a story of two tails here. We have a potential flag, but obviously we need to break above 37.28 for us to verify that flag. So we need to break above that and come back and test. That would validate that flag for me. We do have a bit of a crossover the moving averages here, but again, we've been above, or we've been above twice, now we're below the moving averages. So I'm kind of really just sitting on the fence here, to be honest. This is starting to look, there are two bullish patterns. The only one that is really interesting is the weekly. Is this rejection, or is this genuinely some kind of a weird bullish setup that is happening? So, you know, when one bar happens like that and then we get confirmation, normally that's a bullish setup. But now that we've had one, then we've got a range bar. Now we've got another, I don't know what to call this, but it depends where we close, I suppose. And if we close above this area, 37.28, you can see that also validates the flag. It's a weekly level. So I come back to this area here, you'll see why that is so important. So if we stay above it, it'll be a weekly close above it, it'll be a break of the flag, and that is going to give us pretty much a 1,845 point move from the bottom here. Let's rather do this. So that's the move up, that's the lowest low. That takes us up to that area there, which is 38.40. And remember, we've got some structure at 38.30 right there. So that is kind of, you know, the bigger picture that I'm seeing at the moment. But obviously we need to see some kind of a break. If it does happen, if you look at the 3 hour, that is the third swing low, and it's a swing low off of Fibonacci. So that is pretty interesting for me. It also sets up, there's a shoulder, there's a head, and it sets up another shoulder, which then gives us a bigger break once we get above this area, which is equal to the height of this big range that we've got here. Yeah, so that's kind of the macro view. There's a lot going on. I'm a bit reluctant to pick a direction at the moment because of what we're seeing. So you can see on the 15-minute, above the moving averages, looked like a retest and then immediately reversed back down. So you keep getting this kind of stuff, and it's been happening for 2 days. So you can't really get a rhythm and get a direction. So until that happens, I'm sit on hands, and it is end of week. So I suspect we're going to stay in this channel, that's for sure. So even if we do move up to the upside, you're probably going to find some resistance somewhere. But this weekly level is too important for the bulls not to try and get above it today. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see a daily green bar. But for me right now, I think we'll sit on the sides. And you can see we've had these diversions and the oscillators are pointing up, indicating, you know, there's buying power here. But that's kind of a weird setup. But anyway, if it does happen, that's what you're aiming for. And then you can see sets up pretty much a big head and shoulders, double bottom, whatever you want to call it, but it's just a consolidation pattern. And then all eyes are on 38.30, because if you get above 38.30, I think that is going to pretty much build a pretty strong move to the upside. And then the last thing is, look at that trend line. That's also in this area as well on the daily. Okay, so anyway, that's kind of me for today. I'm probably not going to be trading. I haven't traded at all this week. So we will sit on the sides, I think, until I see some structure that is going to work. And for me at the moment, I'm not seeing that on any time frame right now. It's just screaming at me to be careful, because whichever way you go, it looks like you're going to be trapped. Because you're not really going to be able to get the right level to get in on a move. Anyway, that's enough from me. Hope it helps, and we'll catch up with you on Monday morning. And hopefully with FANG stocks coming out, we're going to have some pretty strong moves one way or another. Anyway, enjoy your weekend. Cheers for now.